All right, today we are diving into a skill that is so important for our mental health, but man, it can be really tough to get right. We're talking about setting healthy boundaries. And trust me, learning how to do this well can be an absolute game changer. So let's just get straight into it. You know the feeling, right? That little ping from your phone, a text, or an email asking for just one more favor, and your stomach just does a little flip. It's that classic battle in your head, wanting to be helpful, but also knowing you are completely stretched to your limit. If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. And that feeling of dread? Yeah, it really matters. Because when we just keep saying yes when we really mean no, the price we pay emotionally just keeps going up and up. We're not just talking about being a little tired here. We're talking about that deep down resentment, that constant hum of anxiety, and just feeling totally taken for granted. Honestly, it's a fast track straight to burnout. And look, this isn't just some fringe issue that only a few people deal with. The data shows that 1 in 5 people feel like they just can't balance their work and life demands. That is a massive number of us feeling completely swamped. And you know what's often at the core of that feeling? A lack of healthy boundaries. So, what do we even mean when we talk about boundaries? It's so easy to picture these giant walls we build to keep people away, but that's not it at all. A much better way to think about them is as an act of self-respect. It's you telling yourself and the world that your needs matter, that they're valid. I love this way of looking at it. Thinking of boundaries as mental health armor. It totally busts that myth that setting boundaries is somehow selfish. It's not. It's your protective shield. It helps you save your energy and protect your well-being so you can actually show up as the person you want to be. Okay, so on one side of the spectrum, you've got what we call porous boundaries. This is when the line between your needs and someone else's gets super blurry. You might find yourself oversharing, taking on everyone else's problems, and just feeling totally wiped out because you are constantly putting them first. And here's a perfect example of that. You are just spent. Physically, emotionally, you've got nothing left in the tank. But the idea of letting your friend down feels even worse than your own exhaustion. So you say yes to helping them move, and that little seed of resentment starts to grow. Now, on the total opposite end, you've got rigid boundaries. This is kind of like living inside an emotional fortress. You keep everybody at a distance so you don't get hurt. But in protecting yourself, you also end up blocking out any chance for real, meaningful connection, which, well, that can get pretty lonely. And this can look like just saying no to every social invitation, not because you're busy, but because it's a defense mechanism. It's a way to avoid feeling vulnerable. It keeps you safe from potential pain, sure, but it also costs you all the joy that comes from those deeper relationships. So, the goal, of course, is to find that sweet spot right in the middle. That's where healthy boundaries live. They're flexible enough that you can be open and form real connections, but they're also firm enough to protect your time, your energy, and your self-respect. It really is all about that balance. Okay, so if we all know that healthy boundaries are the goal, why on earth is it so hard to just say no? Let's be real. For a lot of us, it can feel awkward and scary and just deeply uncomfortable. Well, it usually comes down to two really big emotions. First, there's fear. Fear that you'll be rejected or that you'll hurt their feelings. Maybe even this deep subconscious fear that if you say no, they won't need you anymore. And then there's guilt, that heavy feeling that you're somehow responsible for everyone else's happiness and that saying no means you're failing them. But here's the good news. This is a skill. It's something you can learn. There are actual practical tools that can help. And we're going to walk through a really simple 4-step guide called the SAFE method that makes this whole thing feel way less scary. So SAFE stands for specify, assert, fairness, and enforce. Just think of it as your playbook for communicating your limits clearly, confidently, and with respect. Now let's break down each of those. First up, S is for specify. You can't set a boundary if you don't even know what it is, right? So be specific. For example, telling a coworker you're available until 5 p.m. That's not mean, it's just clear. It sets a really precise expectation, and it protects your own personal time. Next, A is for assert. This is all about how you communicate your boundary. The key is to be calm and respectful,
not aggressive. You know, when a family member gives you that unsolicited advice, you can say something like, I really appreciate that you're concerned, but I'd prefer to talk about my choices only when I ask for advice. See? Calm, firm, respectful.
Then we've got F for fairness. This is just a great reminder that good boundaries are a two-way street. It's about respecting the other person's needs while also standing up for your own. You want to frame it as a collaboration, finding a solution that really works for everybody. And finally, we have E for enforce. And you could argue this is the most important step of all. A boundary doesn't mean anything if you don't stick to it. So if someone just drops by after you've asked them to call first, you have to gently but firmly repeat that boundary. It's that consistency that really makes it work. Now, what happens when people push back? Because they will, especially at first when they're not used to it. The key is to stay calm. Don't get defensive, and whatever you do, don't fall into the trap of over-explaining yourself. All you need is a simple, calm restatement of your boundary. Every time you do that, you are teaching people how you want to be treated. So this SAF method is a fantastic tool to have. But let's be honest, applying it isn't always cut and dry. The real world is complicated, and context changes everything. Things like our culture or the power dynamics at our jobs can play a huge part in how this all works. Let's take culture, for instance. What one culture sees as a healthy boundary might look totally different in another. In more individualistic cultures, being assertive and saying no directly is often seen as a good thing. But in a lot of collectivistic cultures, the group comes first, so a direct no can feel really jarring or selfish. It requires a much more delicate touch. And at work, power dynamics make things even trickier. I mean, dealing with a micromanaging boss is a classic boundary challenge, right? Their need to be in control often comes from their own issues, but it can totally chip away at your own confidence and your ability to just do your job. But in the end, no matter what the situation is, with family, friends, at work, it helps to come back to this one central idea. Every single time you set a boundary, you're not just saying no to something. More importantly, you're saying a big, loud yes to yourself. Yes to more peace, yes to more energy, and yes to more self-respect. Just remember this. You are allowed to protect your peace. You're allowed to take up space. So my question for you is, what is the one boundary, just one, that you're going to set for yourself this week? Start small, see how it feels, and enjoy what it's like to finally say yes to yourself. Thanks for joining this explainer.